Okay, so today we are going to be 3D modeling the angle plate in Autodesk Inventor Professional 2022. In order to get started, let's take a look at our print here in AutoCAD. Um, so we've got basically an L-shaped plate that we would then extrude across its width. And then we have two ribs here supporting it. And inside of all those ribs, we've got lots of fillets and rounds, which is why we have this note. So in order to extrude our L shape, we're going to draw that. So it's 2 3/4 tall by 4 3/4 wide, and then the extrusion itself will be 4 3/4 wide as well. And our plate thickness here is 3/4 of an inch. So 2 3/4, 4 3/4, and then 3/4 of an inch, and it's the same up top as well. So let's jump over to Inventor. Start our new part. Again, as always, we're going to open up our origin, make it visible. We'll press F6 so we can see what we're doing here. Alright, so let's select our XY plane, and we'll start a new sketch there. Again, we're just drawing a basic L shape, nothing terribly critical about it, as long as we get our lines nice and vertical and horizontal. There we go, and then that, and we'll close in our shape. Let's dimension this. So we said it was 2.75 there. This should be 4.75 here. And then our ends are going to be 3/4 of an inch as well. And we'll just reference that dimension. That way they stay identical no matter what we do. In terms of centering this up, it really doesn't matter. So we'll click Finish Sketch. And then we'll do our extrusion here. Extrude that. We said 4 3/4. We're going to go in both directions. Make sure surface mode is off. So 4.75. There we go. Click OK. Alright, so now we want to add in our ribs. So let's take a look at those ribs. We'll do all the fillets at the end. So those ribs are 3/8 of an inch wide based on our dimension chain up here. And they're 1 inch in from the end of each of these. And also, if we were to draw an imaginary center line down the middle here, they're also 1 inch from the center. So if I were to take a plane from the middle and move it over 1 inch, then I would be right at the edge of one of our ribs. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. So we have this plane. We can duplicate it using a process called creating a work plane. So that's what the plane tool does. If we click down, we see we've got some options here for generating a work plane. I like offset from plane, so we'll click that. So we'll select our source plane here. We're just going to drag it some distance, doesn't matter. Okay, then we can edit our number. We're going to tell it that it's 1. And we'll click OK. So our rib is going to exist on the kind of the lower left side of work plane 1 now that we just created that. So we'll click on work plane 1, and we could adjust the dimension if we made a mistake, or we can create a sketch. So we're going to create a sketch. Now we need to be able to reference this vertical edge and this horizontal edge. So in order to do that, we're going to use project geometry. So we'll click that. And what that does is that's going to apply edges to our drawing that normally don't touch it. So we'll click on those two edges, and it turns them into lines on our drawing. We can kind of see that they're now like this kind of darker green color. They might be different on your drawing. Usually in a standard view mode, they're yellow. Alright, so we're done with project geometry, so we'll hit escape. Now we can just draw a line. We're going to draw our rib here, so just connect up. I like to personally also go in and just kind of connect with lines again. Technically, we're probably drawing over top of our lines, but it's not going to hurt. And then our ribs are from this corner is where they're measured, and they are 1.5 inches tall by 3.5 inches wide. So we'll put in those dimensions. So from that point to this edge is 3.5, and from this point to this edge is 1.5. Then we can hit finish sketch, and we'll extrude that. Now this one is going to matter what side of the plane we're on. That's probably one of the first times this has mattered so much. So our ribs are 0.375 wide, 3/8 of an inch, and we want to make sure that we're going to, in this orientation, to the left of our work plane, which if we use our view cube here, we can kind of see that that's exactly what we're doing. So remember, we wanted 1 inch plus 3/8, and then should be another 1 inch left over here. So if we actually look between here and here, it's approximately the same distance. It definitely is based on the numbers we've input. So we'll click OK and accept that. Now, I could repeat that whole process, or there's a feature called mirror in our 3D modeling section here. If we click mirror, it says what feature do we want to mirror? I can go over here to my browser and select extrusion 2. And it says mirror plane. So we want to use our plane that's in the dead center of our part here. You can see it's previewing. If we want to click on right, we can make sure things look nice and symmetrical. It looks good to me. And then we'll click OK. And now we've created our second rib. So now all we have to do is go in with our fillet tool and just fillet everything. We said all fillets and rounds are 1/4 of an inch, so we'll click on fillet. Make sure it's set to 0.25. Just go through and we'll start filleting all of our pieces. I like to actually do 2 separate fillets. I like to do this back fillet first. Then we'll click apply or OK. We'll go back through, same setting, and we'll do the sides of our ribs as well. Go over here, we'll do that side. The reason why is it's actually less to click because it now turned each edge into like a separate, one continuous edge because we rounded it off. So it's a few less clicks that way. So we'll press F6, and that is the alignment plate. And if we ever wanted to say make work plane 1 not visible, I could always right click on it and uncheck visibility, and that goes away. Let's make this plane not visible as well. Just a little bit easier to see what we've got going on here. Alright, that is the angle plate.